I'm joined now by top Trump ally, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. Welcome to This Week. So what do you make all those Republicans speaking at the Democratic convention?
Oh, what I make of them is that Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. But what most Americans remember is that for 4 years, when Donald Trump was president, we had peace and prosperity. Everything's gone to hell under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris over the last 4 years. And that's a clear contrast we have. This is an unusual presidential election because Donald Trump has been president before. The American people know what he did. They know that he understands the kind of pain they've suffered for the last 4 years under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And I think that's why they're ready to return Donald Trump to the White House.
But there seemed to be a clear strategy on the part of the Democrats to try to appeal to the Republicans. And of course, Donald Trump has absolutely solid support among the Republican base. But there are a lot of Republicans uneasy with him as the nominee again, and they seem to be going right at them.
Well, in every election, John, you have some members of one party endorsing a candidate of the other party. That's a very traditional aspect of American politics. I mean, look at what just happened this week. The Democratic Party under Kamala Harris has gone so far to the left that you actually had a Kennedy endorse a Republican. That's pretty remarkable that the Democratic Party has become so radical under Kamala Harris that a member of the Kennedy family has come out to endorse a Republican.
I don't know if Bobby Kennedy Jr. at this point is that representative of the Kennedy family, but I want to get to that in a second. But first, there are reports. There's obviously a bit of a momentum change here. You see it in the polls. You see it in the money flowing in to the Harris campaign. And there was a report in Politico that Trump now knows that he has to change things up or that he could lose. You talked to him. I mean, what's your sense? Do you need a change in direction?
Well, President Trump and his campaign has known all along, and they've said all along, that this race is going to be a close race.
Actually, he said it would be a landslide, just to be clear. He said he was going to win in a landslide.
But look, we know the race will probably come down to a few 100,000 votes in a few states. President Trump has been campaigning hard and vigorously now for months. Obviously, that's going to increase in its pace as we get closer to the election. And President Trump is going to draw a sharp contrast with Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, banning gas cars, confiscating firearms.
These are all what do you mean taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now. She knows.
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no longer supports Medicare for all.
She has not said that. Okay. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that, but the last thing that she said on
this was not a radical convention. I mean, she as you heard me go through with Bernie Sanders, she is not taking the positions of the far left of her party. She's clearly making an effort to move to the middle.
I did hear what you said to Senator Sanders, and I thought it was clear that he's very disappointed that she's taking these efforts not to change her positions, but to hide her positions, John. The American people are totally justified to conclude that Kamala Harris is a dangerous San Francisco liberal based on what she campaigned on the last time she ran for president and what this administration has done for the last 4 years. Again, you would have thought watching the Democratic convention last week that the Democrats are not in office, that they're not in power, that they're campaigning against an incumbent Republican, when in reality, she's been part of the failures of the Biden-Harris administration for 4 years. And when she campaigned for president, in her own right, she did in fact promise things like decriminalizing illegal immigration and taking away health insurance.
But that's his position she's clearly changed on, and she said she has changed. Yes, she has.
No, she has not. John, she has not said that. She's not. You pointed out, Senator Sanders, repeatedly things that her campaign has said. Anonymous aides speaking on background to reporters has said, well, she no longer believes these things. Okay, maybe she has changed her position on things like taking away your health insurance and confiscating your gun. If she has changed her position, she owes it to the American people to come out and say in her own words when she changed and why she changed. That's one reason why she needs to address the American people and speak to these questions, because the only basis they have to conclude what she will be like as president is what she's done for 4 years in this administration and what she said in her own voice in the last campaign. Remember, these are not like college essays, John. This is what she was said when she was campaigning for president as a 54-year-old woman. If she's had such a radical change of heart in the last 5 years, she owes the American people answers.
So speaking of radical changes of heart, I want to ask you about what Donald Trump had to say just a couple of days ago. He said, and this is an exact quote statement he put out, "My administration will be great for women and their reproductive rights." Is he now going to be campaigning on abortion rights? What's going on here?
He will be great for women. He was great for women. Women had great opportunities under Donald Trump. You had a healthy, growing economy. You had safe communities, and you had.
But I'm asking you about the reproductive rights.
Well, look, Democrats can use phrases like reproductive rights all they want to describe their pro-abortion position, which would force Americans to pay with tax dollars for abortion up to the moment of birth. That's the Democratic position.
I mean,
they can use that phrase if they want to. They don't get a monopoly on the language to cover up their radical positions.
But I just asked you, it's now Trump using those words.
But he's
reproductive rights. But he's also said, we also heard from J.D. Vance, that he would veto a national abortion ban, and he came out against using the Comstock Act to prevent the shipping of the abortion pill. So what is happening? I mean, in fact, he said just the other day, he suggested that he may support the amendment on the ballot in Florida to provide a constitutional right to an abortion. I mean, what is happening with Trump on abortion?
So, John, I think you just made a very important point. The only candidate here proposing a national abortion law is Kamala Harris. And we know what that law looks like because congressional Democrats have voted on it. It would require taxpayer funding for abortion up to the moment of birth.
That's not their law. They want to codify Roe v. Wade.
No, that's not at all. That's what they say about their law, John.
I'm asking you about Donald Trump, though.
So first
you have a solid pro-life record for as long as you've been in public office. What do you make of what he is saying now, saying he is going to be protecting reproductive freedom, and then he could even support a constitutional amendment in Florida,
first off,
legalizing abortion?
I voted on the law. You didn't. It does not codify Roe. It goes far beyond what Roe says. It would provide taxpayer funding for abortion up to the moment of birth. Donald Trump has been consistent. He said that Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided. Before Roe v. Wade, this question was largely regulated by the states. Now that Roe v. Wade has been reversed, it will be again largely regulated by the states. Kamala Harris is the one that proposes the radical national abortion law.
I also want to ask you something else that Trump had to say recently, is saying that the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is something presidents give out. I mean, Trump gave one to Devin Nunes, the former congressman, is the equivalent and much better than the Medal of Honor, which of course is the practically, as you know, as a combat veteran, sacred. I mean, it is the nation's highest military honor. I mean, what do you make of that?
John, it's totally taken out of context.
It's not taken out of context.
The point he was making is that he gives the Presidential Medal of Freedom, just like other presidents do, to civilians who have done important things for their nation, but who haven't sacrificed life and limb. And when you go to a Medal of Honor ceremony at the White House and you're presenting it to a soldier who's sacrificed his body, or to his parents, or to his children, or his spouse, that it is of a different order of magnitude. It's totally out of context. Donald Trump was.
Do you agree that the Presidential Medal of Freedom is much better? Those are his words.
John, it was totally. You're totally taking that out of context. Donald Trump was great for our military. He is great for our veterans. Kamala Harris is the one who's proposed, for instance, to cut the military every single year. Kamala Harris is the one who voted for military cuts when she was in the Senate. Donald Trump has utmost respect for our veterans and our troops, and you see that by his record in office.
And before you go, I want to ask you about something else Trump said. This is about the 2020 election. It's something I have never heard him say before.
This was the last week in office for me because of a horrible, horrible election where I got many millions more votes than I got the first time, but didn't quite make it, just a little bit short.
But short, is he now finally acknowledging the truth about the 2020 election, that he lost?
Well, John, what he is saying there is that there are a lot of irregularities. He challenged them in court. those court challenges didn't succeed. It's as simple as that. It's what he's saying about this election.
No, he had said before it was stolen, and he had many millions of more votes than Joe Biden. All stuff that isn't true. You know, we've been over this. I mean, he's.
Well, look, I mean, obviously, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the president and vice president. They're in the White House. That's why people are suffering so badly. His court challenges did not succeed. That's the only point he's making
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Senator Cotton. I appreciate your time. Thanks